met someone who deserves the day the way that you do. Joseph, it's time to get ready and the spotlight's shining down upon you. Joseph, so be fast, oh from, I'm on my way, yeah here it comes. And I'm delivering a wish to you, so get ready, from every peak and valley they're telling you to get ready, cause here it comes. It's on the way. It's a celebration across the nation.
Joseph Jaffe is not famous. I'm famous. Joseph Jaffe is a delusional human being who thinks he's famous. He's not famous. He's not famous. I'm famous.
There was one guy I was dealing with getting a little bit pissy over the kid interrupting the call thing, and I'm like, appreciate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please. Yeah.
My bad. Please continue. It's very alliterative.
They are going to be the ones powering the experiences that every customer has.
Preference has power. I'm pretty sure Kato would say to me when I do every show, stop.
I think he would.
Those peeps are popping. Wait till you get the invoice.
Here. I have a question. When's the last time you danced? When's the last time you laughed?
Right now.
You flew.
I don't want to dance with you.
When's the last time you flew a kite?
Toasted Oreo.
Look at you. You are insane.
How did I do that?
You're
How did I do that?
insane. You're insane.
Well, hello, everybody. It is time for some new music. Who wants some new music? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. You got it. Now, actually, this music was Billy Bowie, who was on the show. I was going to actually surprise him with this music, and he was going to do some freestyle rapping. Billy, come back anytime. And, yo, you're going to be rapping to this song, a little bit of freestyle. You're going to be talking a little bit of Alpha Collective, a little bit of Giraffes. Come on, Billy, come back anytime. My mother is watching. Hello, Mom, back in South Africa. Yeah, there was a little pause there. I haven't heard it before. I was like, what? What happened there? Like maybe it was good timing. I said, my mom's watching South Africa. And then it paused for a second. I hope you are well. It is June 1st. Can you believe it? It is June 1st. We are in the sixth month of the year. We're almost into the second half of the year. And as far as we're concerned, the flat earth has not stopped flatting or spinning or earthing or whatever the hell. Hello, Deepu Mohan. Welcome to the show, all the way from LinkedIn. I am in a zany sort of mood today because I've been spending way too much time with our guest today, Will Pemble. All it took was 5 to 7 minutes to first of all find out that we are both crazy. Crazy, not a bad thing, right? Crazy can be passionate. We also are both in the nutmeg state, which apparently is not California. It is Connecticut. So maybe we'll have to do this next time in his zooped up, one of his converted vans. The man is multi-talented. That's all I can tell you. And we will be spending time with him soon. But I just want to actually jump straight in to the seated soliloquy. I don't normally do this, but today's soliloquy is called Liberation. I'll try some other new music, been playing around. I don't know if this is liberating music, but it's just going to have to do. You know, it was funny. I wanted to call this Liberation because I feel liberated. I feel liberated because I pushed the damn button. I decided to launch the Alpha Collective. And I got to tell you, I've never been as petrified and exhilarated at the same time. Today, just now, I sold pass number 6. First time that someone actually minted on and through the smart contract. 1.25 ETH. It's now moving up to 1.33 ETH because it adjusts to $2,500 fiat or USD. But just seeing it appear on that smart contract, the first pass minted through crypto on the blockchain, I'm telling you, I feel drunk, I feel giddy. And I also feel very, very comfortable to be able to say that it's pass number 6 and 94 to go in terms of first customer passes and 994 to go until we mint out. Not if we mint out, but when we mint out. Because I trust myself. Actually, again, this soliloquy was called Liberation. But when I was looking for images under liberation, this message came up, which is trust yourself. Trust in yourself. If you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? And who's going to trust you if you don't trust yourself as well? So Brian Piper says, dropping the alpha, congratulations. Yeah, big time. I'm dropping the collection. I'm dropping alpha on it. There's going to be a lot of alpha. For example, if you are a first customer, there are going to be certain benefits. I don't know what they are yet, but they'll be there. Listen, I'm a marketer. I'm a creative guy. If I can't deliver, nobody can, right? So for example, when we do IRL events, maybe first customers will get to come in first, 10 minutes before everyone else, cut the line, get to the bar first. But I believe in reward and punishment, so maybe they'll come in 10 minutes before. So everybody comes in on time, but the 100 first customers, they get to come in a little early. Or maybe I'll do a little free webinar or keynote discussion on the concept of first customers, which I created when I wrote Flip the Funnel. There is so much to learn. There is so much to do. There is so much to share as well. And so my message to you is very simple, which is you will be liberated from the shackles of procrastination, of doubt, of self-doubt, of not believing in yourself, of imposter syndrome, of all of the above. But you can liberate yourself from all of that just by, as I said yesterday, pressing the damn button, just by doing it, by taking a chance, by believing in yourself, and by trusting yourself. And I got to tell you, a lot of this today, Glenn is saying, I'm wondering how I would use it to my best benefit. What are you talking about, Glenn? Are you in fact talking about the Alpha Collective? Are you talking about being a super fan on the show? You tell me, because you're going to get a monthly call with me because you are a super fan, where we just get to talk about whatever you want to talk about, or whatever. We'll talk about the show. We'll talk about guests for the show. I am parallel pathing right now, building my show, growing my show, integrating my creator coin, launching a collective. And, you know, one of my coaches, my new coaches, said to me, I'm not focused enough. I need to be focused. I think I'm super, super focused right now. I can see how all the dots are connecting. I can see how it's all coming together. And it is exciting. It is liberating. And the best is yet to come. I will be talking about this over the course of the next few days, weeks, months, as long as it doesn't become irritating or repetitive, as long as it's not boring to you. I hope that you will not only be liberated too, but will trust yourself, will trust me like I trust you. One thing just to mention as well is part of going into this new cycle and this new phase of my life is actually embracing the concept of not even selling, because I think there is new selling and there is old selling. There's the fact that if you believe in a product enough, you're not going to feel like you're shilling. You're not going to feel the doubt. You're not going to feel dirty afterwards. And one of the ways that I've even been thinking about positioning this is, and this was given to me by said coach, right, under $50 a week. That doesn't sound like a lot, because it isn't. Because it isn't when you're spending under $50 a week to hear from an Alpha Talk speaker that has a rate card of $10,000 to $25,000 for a keynote. So it is important, and this is, I'm feeling like a professor now. Remember, this is all about value. In marketing, we call it a value proposition. Value is a subjective determination of the relationship between price and ultimately quality or utility. So, as always, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. And I hope you will eat some and enjoy it as well. Just like you're about to have a helping of Will Pemble. Let me tell you, it sounds like if Will Pemble, on a whim, if Will Pemble was an item of food, I'm going to ask him what he thinks he would be. Maybe it would be apple crumble, apple Pemble. I'm not really sure. But I can tell you that just his presence absolutely made me feel liberated and giddy. Will Pemble is a Web1 pioneer, a Web2 leader, and a Web3 futurist. That, to me, is a 1, 2, 3 punch, a triple threat. He built and sold web.com. Yes, that was his. It was one of the first and largest domain name registrars on earth. As a top 50 domain name millionaire, technology futurist, and serial entrepreneur, Will has been building and growing tech companies since before the days of Web1. What was that called, Will? Web 0? Will's latest adventure is this is amazing, the coasterpunks.com, an NFT collection on a mission to build the world's first carbon-neutral roller coaster thrill ride, a 200,000-watt solar farm, and an 8-episode educational TV series executive produced by Mythbuster, Kari, Byron, and EXPLR Media. Will has built 5 backyard roller coasters. He's been featured on Good Morning America, Discovery Channel, Netflix, Facebook Watch, and dozens of television shows worldwide. How cool is this man? Let's welcome him to the show. Will Pemble, come on down.
Joseph Jaffe, what's shaking, man?
I mean, the roller coaster better not be shaking. That's all I can say.
Well, there are parts of it that maybe would. That's an engineering question, right? So the point of a user experience is for the creator of the experience to know exactly what's going to happen, and then in some cases for the user to not know what the hell is going to happen. So if I know you're safe and you feel like you're in mortal terror or mortal danger, I've done a good job designing that particular thing, right?
So you are now starting to already give me some wonderful food, some crumble, some Pemble for thought, right? Which is this idea of a balance, right? There's an expectation, even when we think about the safety and security of the roller coaster. Twists. I said to you, this interview would have twists and turns and go in unexpected directions, just like a roller coaster. But I wonder what your thoughts are about how do you find the balance when creating a roller coaster between the I'm going to feel like my life is on the line, I'm so scared, I don't know if I can do this, and come on, you know that this is probably safer than walking to your mailbox or taking a jog, down the street.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like the thing of it. So like, here's how I know I built like the last one I built, that Netflix coaster. Here's how I know I did a good job of it. We built it, we tested, we did the math, we engineered the tar out of it. It worked exactly the way we hoped it would work, which was really cool. So you do all of this design and you do all this math and say, okay, well, when it gets to the bottom of that turn, it's going to be at about a 70-degree bank. It's going to be going 19 miles an hour, 1.8 G's downward force. And you can measure all of that in the real world. it did everything we hoped it would do. And so from a technical perspective, that thing that we built was perfectly designed. It was accurately designed. It was in the manufacturing business. It was of quality, right? It did what we thought it would do. So yay, no surprises in the roller coaster. Then I rode it. I got on it, and the first time I rode it, and every time since, I'm going up, and there's this lift hill, and it starts at like 4 feet off the ground, and it goes up to about 25 feet off the ground, 40-degree bank angle. Every time I went up this hill, even though I'm the guy that built it and I knew it was going to work exactly the way I knew it was going to work, every single time I rode up this, I get a third of the way up the hill and I'm like, oh, this was a terrible idea, right? I was horrified riding this ride that I built because we designed it to be like really, really super scary. And so that's a huge win when you can create an experience and you know what's going to happen, you know how it's going to work, and you also know how the user is going to experience something, even if you tell them what's going to happen. Even if you say 70-degree bank turn at the bottom, you'll be going about 19 miles an hour, about 1.8 G's downward force. You can tell them all of that stuff and they'll still be scared out of their wits. And so the roller coaster is a great way to talk about how to manage user experience, how to design user experience, but not just in a roller coaster, in any user experience, right? What we're doing right now, we should know what our plan is. We should know what the goal is of this conversation, and we should be able to deliver it and then go back and ask the viewer, the customer, how'd we do? And hopefully we won't be surprised, and hopefully they will.
So again, it's so great because we talk about in marketing, in business, the concept of surprise and delight. And by definition, surprise is unexpected. Surprise is not something, I mean, it's not a surprise if you know it's coming. And I just find this to be such a fascinating, I mean, I see a book coming from you in the future about roller coaster marketing or this ability to, like, I mean, there's also part of it of this idea of you can be so prepared and so even as the creator of this roller coaster, and yet when you actually get on it and experience it, it's something completely different. There's another concept, right, about book smarts and street smarts, or it just goes in so many directions about even planning, right? You can plan and you can be sure of everything. I mean, when I launched now Alpha Collective, I launched it essentially without much of a safety net, simply because I knew that in the world of Web3, there is no safety. Safety nets are an illusion. So just trust yourself and move forward and believe in yourself and also enjoy the ride.
Yeah, 100%. That's once upon a time, back in 1990 something, what my kids call the 1900s, those awful children of mine. Back in the 1900s, Liz and I opened up a virtual reality store, and this was 93 or 94 in the Glendale Galleria. We got these really cool virtual reality machines, which would be just like laughably slow and ridiculous right now. These big, heavy head, goggles you'd put on and headsets, and you'd stand at a thing and you'd shoot. We opened up this store, and I just loved the idea. I love the idea of virtual reality. I love the idea of being in another world, but being in this one, and the tech was absolutely terrible. And we hired one of the reasons we did it in LA is because we wanted like Hollywood set designer people, right? We wanted to really build this beautiful experience. We spent a boatload of money making this experience in the mall on a temporary lease where the mall could pull the rug out from under us at any moment because we couldn't get a permanent lease for this kooky idea where I was like, well, we got a space that's empty for now. You can use it until we get a real customer. And so we spent jeepers. I mean, and that was all the money in the world back then. It was $100,000 building out this store, not counting the cost of the machine, just to build out. And we get to the day, it's Saturday morning, it's like 7 o'clock. And I say to Liz, I was like, I really think I want to tune that. Maybe why don't we open up tomorrow morning? There's a couple of things that aren't just exactly perfect. And Liz goes, look, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to walk over there and I'm going to roll up the gate. I know you're scared. I know you don't know what's going to happen. I know you're not sure that people are going to line up and come in and enjoy this ride. I know you're scared. We're going to open the gate anyway, and we're going to see what happens. And coming from anybody but Liz, that might have been a fight. But coming from Liz, she knows me better than anybody. And so we rolled up the gate, and it all worked out the way it all worked out. But like you say, you know, it was virtual reality 20 something years ago. Who the fuck knows what's gonna nobody knows what's gonna happen with virtual reality 20 years later. It's always on the verge of being awesome. So I love that you did that. I love that you pulled the trigger on the thing, not knowing what was going to happen next, because I know you're scared and you got to roll up the gate.
Yeah. I mean, listen, now we have 3 book ideas for you. So book number 1 could be See What Happens. Number 2 is We All Need a Liz in Our Lives. Liz,
yeah, we really do.
Number 3 is Roller Coaster Marketing. And number 4 is this is the keeper. Roll Up the Gate.
Roll up the
Right?
gate. Yeah, that could be good. All right, I'm walking. I'll be right back. Don't worry.
Are you going to roll up the gate at the back?
No, I'll be right over. I'm just walking over here off camera. Because those, if we have to do those books, and I'm not sure I want to, if we have to do those books, those would actually have to be books number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Because there's book number 1, Goal Boss: The Art and Science of Getting Stuff Done. I called it Getting Stuff Done because my mom wouldn't let me. Mom wouldn't.
You know that we have a built-in censor here, so the next time you want to say, basically what you'd say is getting done, and it would work out fine.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, well, I wasn't allowed to put that. I wasn't allowed to put any potty mouth in the title of the book or anywhere in the book because my mom, you know, she's got a master's in literature and one of my best friends, and so she actually did a lot of the editing and the thing. So anyway, but I hope I never have to write another book.
Yeah, me too. Well,
it's so hard.
And I've got so many ideas now. You know, writing. They say that writing is like giving, is like childbirth, right? Is like birthing a child, which of course neither of us would know. But there is a similarity, which is once the book is birthed, you say it's like drinking too much. You say never again. I will never do it again, and yet you do it again.
Yeah.
Like having additional children, like drinking more. So now I've gone and compared writing a book to giving birth and drinking, and I'm sure there are a lot of people going, I don't think you've ever given birth, young Jaffe, old Jaffe, whatever. By the way, just while I'm on the subject of drinking, next time you get up and do that again to me, Will Pemble, you're going to get this. Okay, so we're back. We're back.
Cool.
All right. Now, you're a fun guy. You have to be a fun guy. I've only just met you. But I know you have to be a fun guy because you're in the roller coaster business. So we demand to hear some fun facts about you. And you probably need to look no further than right behind you. I don't need to do anything more to show a little bit of this is not your work. This is just me doing some Googling. But you have a side hustle, which is building $300,000 custom Sprinter van conversions. Tell us more about this fetish of yours.
Okay,
side hustle. I mean, side hustle. That's what I meant.
Yeah, it's just it's a side business, like so like that. Let's see that right behind me there. That's like a brand new, awesome Mercedes Sprinter van. It's gigantic. It's 4-wheel drive. It's a gorgeous truck, and it's nothing. I wonder if I could hang on a second here. Okay, I'm getting up, but I'm going to try and take you with me. Let's see if that works. Can you? Okay. All right. I brought that on myself. All right. Okay. So here we go. This is my little workshop, right? I got it because I don't have a garage that's suitable for my habits. But that's like a beautiful, awesome, like Mercedes Sprinter van. It's a 4-wheel drive one that's really, really high and big. And it'll get a little dark in here. Maybe the camera will adjust, right? But we've already like sawed holes in the roof of the thing and put in air conditioning and fans and all of that. We're going to put a big lift kit in it. And so this blank van is going to turn into an awesome camper van for a guy named Jason who lives in Wyoming and his awesome twin boys. And the point of the thing is that it happened. All right. I think I'm back in my spot now. You'll think twice before you invite me over again. In March of 2020, before COVID started, and for every month for the 24 months prior to that, I flew to New York, Sydney, London, San Francisco, LA. And I just kind of made a lap around the world every month as my fancy pantsy consulting gig dictated. And then in April of 2020, everybody out of the pool, right? We didn't do anything. It's like no more airplanes, no more rides, Zoom consulting, blah, blah, blah. I didn't love the Zoom thing so much. And I read an article about how a lot of people were starting to do van life and living in vans and everything like that. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So I've got an extra, 60 hours a month that I'm not on airplanes anymore. So I bought a Sprinter, not that one, but I bought a Sprinter van and I converted it into this incredibly beautiful camper just for myself so that I could drive to places that I wanted to be and I wouldn't have to stay in a hotel if I didn't want to. I've been a germaphobe way before it was fashionable to be a germaphobe. And then somebody saw, a couple of people saw my van that I put a picture of Instagram, or we built a little website, and I was like, hey man, can you build me one? I'm like, well, I'm not good at this and I don't have a lot of experience at it. And they're really expensive, but yeah, if you want to pay more than anybody else would pay for a Sprinter van and you want me to build it, I'm like totally down. And so like I've tried as hard as I could not to get customers at this thing, but I do have a couple of customers. So my side hustle is we'll probably this year I'll maybe build like 2 or 3 vans, and so we'll do like close to $1 million in Sprinter vans this year, just for like goofing around sake, and they're all 100% bespoke, right? So yeah, that is. I don't know if it's a fun fact. It's a hell of a lot of work, but it is a fact.
So you've now rebranded my segment just facts, not fun facts or painful facts.
Well, they're fun for you, right? But like I gotta like climb under that thing and install alternators, and so I've created a fair bit of. I've turned a hobby into a job, and that can be fraught with adventures you didn't quite intend. But,
Again, so many interesting nuggets, right? The one of turning a hobby into a job. The other one is said you tried not to get customers. And there's something very rich in that idea too, which is trying not to get a customer. I mean, when we try too hard, we put too much pressure on ourselves. We get too desperate. You can see, the selling on someone's forehead. That's what I've tried to do now, even myself, which is to slow down, to love it as opposed to sell it, to want to share it, and ultimately, if the only thing between the sharing of the love is a pesky price, that can be addressed as well. What does that mean to you, this idea of trying not to get a customer? How does one try not to get a customer and yet end up getting too many customers?
So I think when we talk about sales, when we talk about getting a customer, and so let's just I like to break things down to just like the purest or the most elemental way of looking at it. And so let's talk about selling something, right? It's like I've got something, I want you to buy it from me, and you give me money, and that's how that's going to go. When I think about my job of selling, my job of making a sale, there's 2 super important points that I try to keep in mind and use as sort of my guiding constellation, maybe not my North Star, but the constellation that I'm shooting for. The first concept goes all the way back to like high school and college when we were dating, and there was a girl and she broke up with me and I was sad and I cried, and my friends would, say the predictable. It's like, we didn't like her anyway. And then, and then I would eventually end up talking to my mom, and I was like, oh, Mom, she broke up with me. Fran broke up with me. And mom would say, look, if it's meant to be, there's nothing you can do to stop it. And if it's not meant to be, there's nothing you can do to make it come true. And that is the nature of love. You can't manufacture it, right? You can't create energy. You can convert matter into energy. You can collect energy, but you can't create it. It's all, we've got what we've got. And so that idea that I can't create love, I can't create a relationship. It's either there or it's not. And then I can collect it or I can convert something to it, but I can't make it happen if it's not meant to happen. If I approach sales that way, if I approach sales with the idea that, you know what, if we're meant to do this deal together, there's nothing I can do to screw it up. And if we're not meant to do this deal together, I might could get us a little bit farther down the road. Maybe I can get some of your money, but I'll wish I hadn't sooner or later. And so if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And so that's the first one, right? I can't screw this up. I can't say anything that's going to ruin the deal. And the more honest I am, and honestly, the harder I try to kill the deal early on, the stronger it'll be if it does come true. But that takes great courage, right? Easy for me to say, I've made some money. And so it's a very, very tough, it's hard to have that courage when you're just starting out, when you can't afford to make a mistake. But it's when you can't afford to make a mistake that you need to like really, really trust yourself the most. So that's one thing. The second thing, and then again, this is like depending on the first thing. So let's say it is meant to be, and we are going to do this. My job as a salesman is not to find out what you're willing to pay for, say, my Sprinter van. It's not my job to find out what you're willing to pay for it, right? I know you'd pay $100,000 for this truck. That's what it's worth right off the factory. I know you'd pay $200,000. I knew you'd pay $220,000. What I have to do as a salesman is I have to find out what you're not willing to pay and ask you for $1 less than that. And that also takes great courage. It takes great curiosity. It takes risk. But if I don't know what you're unwilling to pay, I'll never be able to find out what you value my product or my service at. And if I ask you for too little, then I sell myself short and you start to wonder. It's like, well, geez, I was going to pay him $308,000 for that van and he wants $290,000. Maybe it's not that good a van. So I got to find out what you're not willing to pay and ask you for $1 less than that. And the only way to do that is to continually raise your prices and test. You've just got to go out and test, right? That's how I got to where, in my consulting business, I don't get out of the car for less than $18,000 a day because I know I haven't been able to find somebody who'll pay me $18,001 a day.
I love it. So Glenn, who wanted to know about Alpha Collective, Glenn, whatever you are not prepared to pay, I will charge you $1 less. So simple as that. That's
not what I said.
I love it. I love it. I know he's not prepared to pay $1 million for it. So, call me. No, I love it. And it's fantastic. Well, did you think that you would be giving us sales lessons and sales 101 today? Maybe not 101. It's like more like a masterclass. 301.
No, that's advanced. That's advanced stuff there, right? No, it's like, feature benefit, all of this. But wait, there's more. That's the 101 stuff. This is the
I love it. Lubna is here, and I just want to shout out to Lubna. And also, I forgot yesterday in all my excitement with Doc Searles to give away some Jaffe coins. So the QR code is back, and it is above my head. And all you have to do is shine your phone on that QR code, and there's some free. There it is. Some. Damn it. Whatever.
StreamYard.
Yeah. And scene. Exactly. All right. So that's not what I wanted to do. I told you I'd be like super excited. Why did I minimize you?
Hey, it's your show, man. It's all about you.
You know what? It's not about me. It's called Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous. I get excited because why wouldn't I when we're talking about you and things about you and the risks that you've taken as well. Not many people know about Will Pemble, that he was, in fact, in risky business. He hosted a TV show on Facebook Watch called Risky Business. It's not what you think. Actually, it is exactly what you think. Did it?
No, it's not that.
No, it is exactly that. I can see it as well. Nice legs, Will. Tell us about Risky Business.
So Risky Biz was there's a show on Facebook Watch called Risky Biz, and it's just like, it was just a silly frolic that happened a couple of years ago when it's a show kind of about just like silly science and silly business and fun experiments. It's like, Mythbusters for dummies. And so, but the best way to describe it is when my daughter Ellie asked me, says like, well, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm going to go to LA for 30 days. I'll be back and forth a little bit, but give or take 30, 40 days, I'll be in LA and then I'll be back. And Ellie goes, well, what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm going to TV camp. She's like, TV camp? That's not even a thing. What do you mean you're going to TV camp? It's like, well, so here it is. I'm going to go to TV camp and I'm going to be one of the campers, right? I'm going to be on the show and and then there'll be camera people and helpers and all of that. And then there's going to be this guy named Rob and he's the showrunner. And so he's like the head counselor. And then there'll be other counselors and there'll be other campers. There'll be other people on the show. And so I'm not really in the TV business. I'm not a professional, I don't know, not a professional anything really. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and be a tourist in the TV business. And over the course of 30 or 40 days, we're going to shoot these 8 or 10 episodes of this kooky TV show with me and some other campers. And then it's going to go up on, Facebook Watch, which is one of, I think, Zuckerberg's most spectacular failures. And
that's saying a lot.
Yeah. Well, he goes to one end of the graph or the other. Right. But, so he really wanted Facebook Watch to turn into something, but I'm not pretty sure it didn't. And so that was, and not many people, almost nobody knows about that show or the fact that I did it. What I learned doing it was it's super fun to be the talent, right? Because if you want a cup of coffee, it's like, hey, I'm going to run and get a cup of coffee. And I was like, no, stay right there. We'll get you coffee. Don't move. Don't upset all of this stuff. We got you. And so there's like teams of experts in it, and it'll take any person, the most humble person in the world, it takes you about 5 minutes to fully lean into, where's my coffee? So, and it's just like, I can't work like this, right? Everybody turns into a prima donna when that environment starts to happen. And then it takes a couple of weeks to get over it. You go home, it's like, honey, where's my coffee? It's like, excuse me? But yeah. So that was a really fun thing. What I learned about the TV business is if you go on set and you be around those people, I love the culture of a production facility. Everybody is super polite. Everybody is super professional. Everybody knows the rules of subtlety. There's this rule where you don't make eye contact with the talent. And the reason you don't make eye contact with the talent, it's not because, they end up that way, but it's not because they're like prima donna, awful, horrible people, although they generally end up that way. I certainly could in a short time. But the reason is that the person, they're getting ready to do something that's like weird and personal and vulnerable and difficult. And you could like foul that up a little bit. And you say please and thank you to people, because one of the things that we know if we study organizational psychology, which most of us don't, is that stress and offense are cumulative. So if I piss you off just a little bit every day and it's no big deal, any one instance is no big deal, 20 days from now, I'm going to say, hey, could you pass the salt? And you're going to be like, you know what? Here's your salt. And it'll be like, what got into him? And what got into him was 20 days of these little teeny offenses. And so the TV business knows that. It's a really, really interesting environment. Everybody is so incredibly professional. So that was the Risky Biz.
Will Pemble's new book, his 8th book after writing the others, is called Rules of Subtlety, out wherever books are sold, or buy the NFT. No, I love it. Rules of Subtlety as well. And by the way, this was in your writer that I had to be smaller than you. So at all times.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my head better never be smaller than your head on the
I mean,
screen.
if I do that, I'll just lower
Yep.
it a little bit
Yeah,
as well.
right.
So there we
That's
go.
how it. That's
That
how it has to
that's
be.
better. Well, you know what I really love about you, having just met you and feeling though that I've known you all my life, is that I saw this about you, and I think it just kind of exemplifies almost everything we're talking about. That every business success you've ever achieved was because someone told you not to, or someone told you you couldn't. Actually, this was the inspiration for this idea of liberation, of being able to, or to quote yourself, roll up the gates. Sometimes you just got to like go for it as well. But there's this, and then I want to couple this because I want to make sure that we have time to talk about roller coasters, which we will. And the quote that I found for you, which is by this new fledgling author. I think he's going to make it, called Jim Collins. And the quote is, I mean, I could have actually just stopped with, set goals that are so big, so hairy, they make you gulp. But then he carries on, when you're about to fall asleep, your big, hairy, audacious goal is there by your bed, all hairy with glowing eyes. When you wake up, it's there. Good morning. I am your BHAG. I own your life. I feel like they're two quotes in one. But I would love for you to talk about this what motivates you, right? What keeps you up at night? What gets you out of bed in the morning? This idea of setting goals that, going back to the previous point, everybody's telling you you're crazy. What the hell are you doing? Building a roller coaster with, solar flares or whatever the hell it is, solar farms and flares. Are you out of your mind? Stick to $300,000. Wait, that's insane too.
Yeah, wait. That's also
How do you
stupid.
respond?
So here's the thing. I guess the important thing to keep in mind, or at least the important thing for me to keep in mind, is I am absolutely positively dead certain that I'm going to die someday. It's going to happen, and then this is over. I don't know what's next, but I know this is over. And I need this to be extraordinary. I need my experience to surprise and delight me, to use a popular marketing term. So when somebody says, like I was sitting in this chair in this warehouse talking to somebody, and we were talking about roller coasters, and we got, like ones that I had built and everything. And I was talking to this guy, and I was like, well, and I grabbed my little camera and I was like, well, look, man, this is like a cool room, right? It's like, look, we got 25-foot ceilings here. It's like 55 by 55 feet. It's like a really big room. You could like maybe build like Space Mountain, in like a miniature Space Mountain in here. You could have like, because it's light controlled and you can work on it when it's rainy or when it's sunny. It's like it's a really cool room. And most people, like the vast majority of people, would enjoy the hell out of that conversation, and then they would go back to their lives. They'd be like, yeah, that would be cool. Wow. And you'd stop and you'd think about it and you'd imagine it a little bit, and you'd get kind of a dopamine hit from imagining Space Mountain in this room. But for some reason, the thing about me is I cannot let go of those ideas. I can't let go of the idea of how awesome that would be. The first roller coaster happened in my backyard because my 11-year-old son asked me the day before school started at the end of summer. He was like, what would be really cool, Dad? It would be really cool if we had a roller coaster in the backyard. And most dads would say, oh yeah, son, that would be cool. And then they would list maybe a couple of, grown-up-y reasons why we couldn't. And the kid would be cool with that because that's normal. And everybody would be cool with that because that's normal. And no one would have blamed me for saying, no, dude, you can't have a roller coaster, even if I did it kindly and sweetly. But I couldn't get the idea out of my head. I couldn't get the idea that when Lyle is 40, he's still going to have that experience. We're still going to share that. He might do it for his kids. He could share it with people at work. He and I will be connected through that experience forever. Lyle will always be the kid whose dad built him a roller coaster in the backyard. And that changed me, and it changed him, and it changed my neighborhood. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to a kid in Brazil, a 19-year-old guy in Brazil named Gus Machado. Gus builds backyard roller coasters on TikTok, and he's got 2 million followers. Red Bull sponsors Gus. And I got on the Zoom with Gus a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, Gus, I'm Will. I'm like so happy to meet you, man. I'm like, I love your stuff. My wife is Portuguese, and so I understand a little bit of your Portuguese video, but I love the vibe. I love how you produce those. And I say those things to him. And then he's like, Gus's eyes go like totally wide. He goes, oh my God, it's you. I'm like, what? He's like, I've been watching your videos since I was 14. You taught me how to build roller coasters. I go to engineering school because of you. You made me want to be an engineer, and you made me want to build roller coasters. You changed my life. Dude, next to having a kid, like, you know, your very own kid and being in that, I cannot describe the incredible joy of this total stranger from thousands of miles away thanking me in the way that he did. It's absolutely profound. And that's an experience that I'll take with me forever. So me and Gus are connected forever because I didn't let go of an idea that made no sense. And I try to look for those. I try to look for things that most people would say, no, that's crazy. But there's like no real reason, because the homeowners association, F the homeowners association, right? It's like, they're not the boss of me, and they're not the boss of you either. I think you're muted, bro.
I don't know why. I muted myself. I didn't mute myself. My computer muted. My computer said to me, my roadcaster said to me, Jaffe, shut the hell up and just like, let Will talk even more. But you know,
even more.
Yeah, exactly. Even that, my friend.
I get it.
Those are the rules of subtlety. But if only we had a camera in his backyard, if only we knew what it was like to have a roller coaster in someone's backyard.
Party people, it is Will Pemble. This is my friend Larry Aronson. Larry's been watching the channel for quite some time. He stopped by on his way back to the airport because he's going home soon. But before he does, what do you say we send him around the track? You game, Larry? You want in on this?
Why not?
Okay. All right, we're going to send him around. We'll see what happens. Hang on.
What have I got myself
This
in?
almost always works out
right?
fine. It'll be fine.
That's what everybody asks. It's like, oh, what happened? Why did I say yes to this? Larry is one of the sweetest men. He drove all the way from the East Coast. This was out in our California house. And Larry, sadly, Larry passed.
We were thinking of making the lift hill faster, but what I know right now is
I can make it a bit softer.
Horrified. He's questioning his choices. He doesn't know if this was the right thing to do.
He's holding on pretty tight.
He's like white knuckling it up the hill there, and now it's kind of going to go the way it goes.
Yeah, Larry was one of the sweetest men. He passed away. God bless him. I've met his family. He's a sweet. I'm so glad you shared this with me, man, because this is such a sweet moment that we had.
Oh my goodness. As long as he didn't pass away from the roller coaster.
From the ride.
That was great, Will.
Thoughts?
Wow, that is.
Okay, honest opinion.
That is amazing.
How'd it go? Like critique.
It's definitely.
Oh, you know what? I ended up. I was trying to put the volume up, but what was his honest opinion?
I don't remember. I think he was. He was certainly polite. But Larry is, and he's another one, right? He took this trip to ride this coaster and for us to meet. And what an amazing act of generosity and kindness for him to go all that way to hang out with like
amazing.
A nutmeg like me, right? And so like there's no end of those, and I'm so grateful for you sharing that with me today. That's a beautiful gift. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for building a flippin' roller coaster in your backyard. But I mean, it was just his reaction was, "You'll be hearing from my lawyers." His reaction.
Yeah, there was an unfortunate series of conversations that happened following the.
All right, so
Larry is a lifelong friend, a wonderful, wonderful guy.
You know, when I started the show called Corona TV, when this thing called Corona hit, I said it was about hope, positivity, and optimism. And if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing. And today you've helped me return to those roots, because this is, you know, if everything else wasn't the story, here's another story. And it's just a phenomenal undertaking, a little bit crazy. But if you haven't been paying attention today, it is time to do more of those things. To quote you, I need this to be extraordinary. We only have one life. Make it count, everyone. It is called coasterpunks.com, and it is a fundraising NFT collection which drops on June 21st. You have 20 days. And I love this. You can reserve membership, as opposed to, you know, like I'm trying my own thing with Alpha Collective as well. Who says we have to play by the rules when the rules are only about a year old and full of flaws? Make your own rules. And I love the idea of reserving. Forget about whitelists and all of that. But tell us more about this. You know, you are the triple threat, right? Probably the triple threat is Web 1, 2, and 3, where there is the initiative itself through an NFT collection. There is the solar farm that will power this. And then there is the documentary. So the floor is yours.
Sure. Well, thanks. So Coaster Punks is built on a community that I accidentally created over the last 8 or 10 years, right? Building roller coasters. People all over the world know me for that. I've got a YouTube channel, and so there's like a whole lot of family in the roller coaster community. We started the idea, and the Coaster Punks started with that conversation. I was like, well, it'd be cool if we like built a coaster inside here. And so the idea of the Coaster Punks project is we want to drop the NFT, and we're going to use that to fund these 3 big things. And the first one is going to be this incredibly sophisticated themed roller coaster, indoor roller coaster thrill ride. It's going to be themed after like lunar habitat, life on the moon thing. And so there'll be a motion simulator ride to the moon, and then you'll get off the motion simulator and you'll be in a lunar habitat, which will actually be right above my head in the study model. And next week, by the way, we're going to start dropping pictures of the study model. We've got Disney Imagineers working on this project. And so you get to the hab, and it'll be like a working space station, and there'll be areas, and there'll be kind of sciencey station things, sort of like Science Museum, where you'll be able to learn about hydroponics and 3D printing and solar power and other things. And then one of the costumed, uniformed ride operators will come up and say, hey, I notice you're looking at the solar power stuff. We need some help out at the solar farm. So if you could come with us, we'd like you to get on one of the rocket pods and come out there. And that's when you go and you get on the coaster. And then the coaster is an adventure ride, and we're going to use projection mapping and sound and all sorts of wonderful technology to make this an incredibly exciting ride. And who knows, some things may go right, some things may go wrong. You'll have this wonderful adventure, and you're going to come back to Earth, and the ride will scare the crap out of you, and it'll thrill and delight you. And then we'll say, and then we'll send you away with some things to learn. That was the first one. And then I put up a video about that on YouTube. I was like, hey man, we're going to do an NFT project and build a roller coaster. What do you think of that? And the crap I got from my user base was like, no man, NFTs, environment, and you're terrible, and what about? And so my answer to that was like, okay, we're gonna invent some technology so that gas fees, we still want to be on Ethereum, but we're gonna invent some technology so that we can manage gas, which means the consumption of electricity from where I'm sitting. And oh, thank you, bro. And so what we're also going to do is this 3,000 square foot warehouse sits inside a 9,000 square foot building, and so we're going to build a 200,000 watt solar farm on the roof of this building as part of the project. Now, the best way, if you think about the amount of energy that a solar panel can generate and the amount of time that a solar panel lasts, which is about 20 years, a 200,000 watt solar farm will power one 4-bedroom house for 400 years. That's how much energy we're going to build and deliver back into the grid as part of this project, because I've got kids And I want to leave this world a better place than I found it. And it's so freaking simple to do, right? Build a freaking solar farm that creates more energy than you use. What's so hard about that? So that's one of the things we're going to do. My friend Kari Byron, one of the original Mythbusters, Kari found out about this ridiculous idea of mine. And she says, I own an educational TV company. We stream content to 2 million middle school and high school kids in the United States, and that number grows every single day. We would like to produce an 8-episode educational TV series with curriculum, with a textbook that we can stream to 2 million kids and teach the physics, family, and fun of building roller coasters. And we would love to produce that TV show if you're into it. And so Coaster Punks, the first version, series 1 of Coaster Punks, is going to be this incredible roller coaster that we're going to build in the room that I'm sitting in right now. The solar farm that's going to generate enough electricity to power a single American home for 400 years, or 2 homes for 200 years. You do the math. And the educational TV series that's going to last forever and help kids, especially kids who are starting to think about science and math and engineering and things like that, to help 2 million kids learn just how much fun and just how cool it is to do engineering and mathematics and art things. And so that's the Coaster Punks project. And weirdly, I'm speaking at NFT NYC on June, I think 21st. And we're going to drop the collection on the day that I do that talk in New York. So that's the Coaster Punks.
Well, listen, we had a conversation this morning where I reached out to you and I said, looking forward to meeting you. And you're like, yeah, I would love to meet you in NYC for NFT NYC, June 21st. I'm like, dude, you're going to be on my show in like 3 hours.
I can't begin to tell you. I mean, the launch of this thing, every single step of the Coaster Punks project. And first of all, Joseph, I apologize for being like a jerk in that way. I mean, I was just like, I'm on almost no sleep, a whole lot of coffee. I've got an airplane strapped to my butt for the next 30 plus days.
You
I'm going
certainly did not come across as a jerk. I absolutely loved it.
Well, you're super kind. There's every single bit of this project. I mean, I keep expecting, and it would be normal, and it wouldn't surprise me. I keep expecting some part of the world to say, okay, look, this is a swell idea, but you know what? No, right? I mean, like I talked to Kari about this, and it was like, hey, Kari, it's like, it'd be cool if we had a TV series. It was like, oh my God, would you let us film it? And I'm like, I'm supposed to be begging you for this level of attention here. It's not supposed to be the other way around. Every single step of the way, I suggest some crazy idea. I mean, I've talked to the guy who owns this building. I was like, hey, Pete, can we lease the roof of your building to put a solar farm up there? He's like, oh, that'd be great. And I'm like,
I'm going to
can we
charge
build
you
a
more
roller
rent,
coaster
but
in here? He's like, oh man, it'd be so cool if you had a roller coaster in there. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Everybody that I talk to gets lit up by this idea, and especially the NFT crowd, because the thing about this project is 80% project and 20% NFT. Can I pimp the utilities a little bit? Can I tell you some of the cool stuff you might get?
You certainly can.
With your NFT. So each NFT is, each of the images, right? And so there's some samples of the images, and you'll see like, one of the guys got a little moonshot thing. There's some little pips on the thing. There's a crew lanyard, guys holding tickets, guys got this. All of the characteristics that you can see in the image map to, and then the little shirts and the swag below there, all of those things map to gifts. Pretty much everybody gets a t-shirt. The moonshot badge, if you get the moonshot badge on your NFT, that means you're going to be invited to the launch party. When we actually roll this thing out, we're going to have a 2-week-long launch event right here at the warehouse. And people who support this project and buy the NFT, they're going to be able to come and ride the thing. There'll be one golden ticket, and the one golden ticket will mean that you get to be the first one to ride. Other types of perks, that crew lanyard. If you get the crew lanyard, that means we're going to ask you to come and help us produce the TV show. You're going to be on set. You can be a PA, you can be a camera person or something like that. There'll be 1 or 2 people who actually get a cameo because we're going to shoot the last episode at the launch event. There'll be some things like one says Disneyland VIP, one says Hollywood. There's different kinds of things. And so we're going to do like Disneyland VIP tours. So you might get one of those. You might get a Hollywood, Universal Studios Hollywood VIP tour. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Vomit Comet. It's this zero G training airplane where you can go and experience zero G. We're going to rent that plane for a day. And so it's a $10,000 day, right? And so not everybody's going to get
one. You're not giving away Lambos and Teslas and putting ads up in Times Square. That is so 2021.
I know, it's so 2020 to do things that people love in the real world. And so, but all of this stuff it's built to support the community and to grow the community, right? Every single thing about a theme park is an important lesson in how to get along happily in the world, right? A theme park has every single piece of whatever it is that you need in the world. Think about it. You've got rides. Yes, those are a lot of fun. You've got food. You've got security. You've got firefighting. You've got food service. You've got design. You've got engineering. You've got city planning. You've got all of the things in a theme park. And it's a wonderful way to learn. And it's a wonderful way to it's a wonderful way to connect with like the super smart, awkward teenage kids, right? It's like right at that age, teens and tweens. If you've got a spark, if you're like, interested in math or engineering or anything like that, it's a really, really, any kid, it's a really tough time, to be a teen and a tween. And we become so much of who we are during that time. I want to do every single thing I can to build an environment where super creative, super quirky, super geeky, weird nerd kids have a chance to like really, really spread their wings and build incredible stuff. Because I promise you, everything incredible you ever experienced was built by one of those kids. And so we need more of them.
Amen. And let me tell you, I will be at the launch, whether I have the launch NFT or not. I will gate crash it. I will do whatever I have to do. It is called coasterpunks.com. And look, we did hear some breaking, sobering news that Will is going to die someday. But we hope it's not June 21st, because June 21st, Will and I are going to meet for the first time. This doesn't count as a meeting, but it's when the project launches. It's amazing. I love how it has all taken shape. I love the story. I love the evolution. I love how the 1, 2, 3, just like your Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 is a 1, 2, 3 punch. Please follow Will on the Twitter, on Instagram, find him in the club, discourse with him in Discord, subscribe to his amazing channel on YouTube, duet a sea shanty with him on TikTok, and just, you are not, my 5th book was called Built to Suck. You are not built to suck, my friend. You are built to ride. Bez, you have the last word. He said this is a very cool project.
Oh, thank you, Bez. I'm grateful.
He was talking about Alpha Collective, but
that's right. I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself.
Your project is pretty cool as well. Will, I look forward to breaking bread with you in person. What a truly, truly amazing way to spend an hour of my time. Often we say, that's an hour of my time I'll never have again. This is an hour of my time that I wish I could have over and over again. And guess what? I can, because I can just hit the replay button. I'll tell you one person who'll be watching this episode over and over again is Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
Woo!
And we'll be back tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.